Si ustedes trancan la vía democrática, nosotros no sabemos lo que pueda pasar en este país. Venezuela es una bomba que en cualquier momento puede explotar.
Let me ask you about what's going on in Venezuela, Doctor. I mean, you've seen these protests, riots. There's video that we got to Fox today that showed people collecting and eating out of garbage cans. A lot of folks have looked at that and said, you know, that could happen here. It could get off the wheels fast here. What do you think?
Well, I think on the way there, we basically go through Greece. But Venezuela is about to collapse. There's no way of getting around it. The fundamentals are falling apart, and at some point there's going to be a revolt internally there as far as I can visualize it.
We're in a bubble. We have artificially low interest rates. We're soon going to be at 20 trillion. According to the economists, who I'm not big believers in, but nevertheless, this is what they're saying, that 24 trillion, we're very close. That's the point of no return. $24 trillion. We have a stock market that is so bloated. Be careful of a bubble, because what you've seen in the past might be small potatoes compared to what happens.
Today we're seeing signs that the 35-year bond bull market has ended. If this is true, it will prove to be a huge event, not only for the United States economy, but for the world economy as well.
When Puerto Rico missed a $58 million debt payment August 3rd, it hit the islanders hard. That's because the territory owed most of that money to its residents, who invested in their government's bonds. Many expected it. The real shock came in June. After 10 years of mounting debts and double-digit unemployment, the governor said Puerto Rico couldn't pay back a debt that had swelled to $73 billion.
Puerto Rico needs, and I propose today, a complete and comprehensive restructuring and development plan that is not short-term, but long-term, and is definitive for the immense problem that we face today.
Okay, so how bad is it going to be?
It's going to be awful, but you know.
He says, but you know, how much worse? Because since we saw you last, we got a jobs report that some people will say was terrible.
Do you guys remember the financial crisis of 2008? Did you think that was bad?
Yes.
Yeah, this is going to be worse. Now, but it's not necessarily going to be concentrated in the stock market. See, I think that the government, the Federal Reserve, their main goal is to make sure that the stock market doesn't collapse again, to make sure that the real estate market doesn't collapse again. And they may succeed, but only by sacrificing the dollar. And so we're going to a currency crisis. And this crisis is going to be much bigger than a financial crisis. The impact it's going to have on the average American, on his standard of living, on his way of life, is going to be much more profound. And sure, people won't lose as much money in their stock portfolio, but if they try to sell their stocks and spend the money, the purchasing power that they lose is going to be much greater than what was lost in 08. And of course, 08 gave way to a huge comeback in 2009. So we got saved. We're not going to have that kind of reprieve again.
Friday financial freakout, specifically foreign banks. Take a look at names like Royal Bank of Scotland, Barclays, Banco Santander out of Spain, Deutsche Bank, all are moving down 6%. So here's what we've got. The markets woke up this morning. Look, decided it was time to panic about three things that have actually been out there, folks. So I just want to be clear about that. The three things: the Fed meeting next week, the vote 2 weeks from now in the UK on whether Britain should extricate itself from the European Union trade bloc, and global GDP fears, meaning, oh, are we worried that GDP, output, gross domestic product, will start plummeting in a lot of countries? But it's bond yields around the world that are cracking. So this statement, if this isn't drama rolled into massive superlative wrapped in fear, I don't know what is. But let's call it a major warning from the top market player, Bond King Bill Gross of Janus Capital, tweeting out, global yields lowest in 500 years of recorded history. $10 trillion of negative rate bonds. This is a supernova that will explode one day. In fact, look, we wanted to put this together for you. You may not own German boons or UK gilts, which is the bond in the United Kingdom, but they are dropping precipitously. In fact, Germany's 10-year fell about 42%. It's about to go negative. You've got the UK 10-year bond called the gilt hitting a record low going back to the early 90s. And, of course, the 10-year Japanese government yield's already negative. Folks, that means that people are paying the government to hold their money just for the promise of getting some of it back.
And we begin with that breaking news. Walmart announces it's going to close 269 stores worldwide, 154 of them in the United States. Among them, 3 Sam's Club warehouse stores in our area will be closing. That's Seekonk, Warwick, and Fall River. It is going to impact 10,000 workers in this country.
The Sam's Club closures are 3 of 269 store closures worldwide in the Walmart family. Customers like Arthur Outland tell us they're disappointed.
I've been a Sam's Club member for years, so I just love coming here.
We've learned 16,000 associates will be affected worldwide. 10,000 of those are here in the U.S. Walmart says it hopes to relocate many of the affected employees to nearby stores. If that's not possible, the company says it will give associates 60 days of pay with severance packages for some employees. The CEO of Walmart released a statement saying, in part, closing stores is never an easy decision, but it is necessary to keep the company strong and positioned for the future.
Tensions have risen in Venezuela since the government of President Nicolás Maduro issued several decrees to save energy. The extraordinary measures include 4-hour rolling blackouts and imposing a 2-day work week.
The president says the blackouts are an emergency measure. Water levels at the dam that provides 75% of the country's electricity are at record lows due to a severe drought caused by the El Niño weather pattern. The 2-day work week is already disrupting life for many.
Venía a mi cita de pasaporte.
Edgar Febrero learned the hard way when he tried to renew his passport. No government employees.
Decepcionado.
I'm disappointed and angry, he says. They're systematically destroying the country. Daily life for the average Venezuelan goes well beyond inconveniences.
We've seen food shortages, medicine shortages, now basic services, electricity, even water, that is not reaching a big portion of Venezuela's population.
Add to that the highest inflation rate in the world, which has made the bolivar, the local currency, lose 98% of its value on the black market since Maduro took office in 2013.